Welcome to our talk on developing deep trust with mob programming. My name is Austin Chadwick, and there'll be two other mobbers with us today. And before jumping to them, let me share a little about myself. I've been in the software industry for about 15 years, and I've worn all different kinds of hats, from analyst to tester to scrum master to reliability engineer, and lately been really enjoying developer and mob programmer. And so to kick it over to Juan, how about you?
Hey, Austin, thanks. So I've been a software developer for a little under 2 years now, and I've been mob programming for about 5 months, and so far enjoying my time. How about you, Art?
Yeah, my name's Art Bergquist, and I've been in the software industry just over 37 years. And the vast majority of that time I have not mobbed, but in the last just under 2 years now, I've been mobbing with these two fine gentlemen, plus about 25 other mobbers, and I'm enjoying it immensely.
Awesome, awesome. So before we jump into talking about mob programming's relationship to trust and servant leadership, we're going to share a little bit about mob programming itself, so you have an idea of what we're talking about. So I'll kick it over to Juan to talk about Turn Up the Good.
Great, thanks, Austin. So where we mob, we place a huge emphasis on the concept of collaboration and turning up the good. And so this goes really hand in hand with mob programming because, we have multiple people on one mob station programming. We're able to optimize for flow efficiency and constant retros as well. So this constant feedback, we just turn up the good. We figure out what works for us and what doesn't, and so we optimize for what works.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so if you imagine, turning up the good over and over again on collaboration, what happens? And so this picture here is almost like a timeline of my career. Where on the left, I started out in a place where we did very siloed software development, and then there'd be handoffs between the different silos. And then I joined a place where we did Scrum, and there was a lot of emphasis on teamwork and working together and close collaboration. But at the end of the day, there was still some pretty thick walls. There was a lot of solo work and handoffs over these cubicle walls, so to speak, on the same team. And then lately, turning up the good on collaboration. If teamwork is really good and tight feedback loops is really good, why not work all together on the same mob? As crazy as it sounds, all on the same computer. And that leads straight into the next slide, where we give one definition of mob programming.
Yeah, and that definition is, putting all the brilliant minds working on the same thing at the same time, in the same space, and on the same computer. And we work together the best we can, and we focus on ways to improve through retros, and through that we're able to work together in an efficient, collaborative way.
Nice. When people first hear about mob programming, some people think it's just one person, the driver or at the keyboard, being watched by a bunch of other people just criticizing what the driver is doing. This is definitely not the case. So here what you see are some mobbing roles. We talk about the navigator, the driver, and the mobber. So the navigator has an idea and shares that with the driver. And if the navigator needs some help, he can also talk to the mobbers. So Llewellyn Falco describes this as, for an idea to go from your head into the computer, it must go through someone else's hands. And that forces the navigator to really think clearly about what they're trying to implement. In addition, as I said, we can have one or more mobbers learning from the process and or contributing to the process. And in strict navigation, the mobbers can only say something if the navigator asks for help. In a not so strict or loose navigation, the mobbers can assist the navigator and the driver real time.
Yeah, fantastic. So it's not in a mob. There's a lot of collaboration going on, and and instead of just critically watching one person type, right? That wouldn't be very good. And so now that you kind of have a gist of just basically let's work well together and turn up the good on flow efficiency, that's basically what mobbing is. Let's turn it over and tie it into trust and servant leadership and why we think there's a big synergy here. So Art, what does trust not look like?
So I kind of made up a new word for this. I would say it's not co-battleration, but it's collaboration, since you're working together, not competing. So what trust does not look like, as I said, it's not battling. It's not having a fear of admitting mistakes or blaming others, or because if you do that, then you're going to have less likely an opportunity to share with different views, because you're not going to want to share different views. So that's what it's not.
Awesome. And so what does trust look like? And so before we talk about specifically in mobbing at an abstract level, what does trust look like? And I really love the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, and its descriptions of when trust is there, what things happen. And so in one sense, it's, the book talks about teamwork is about building trust. And the only way to do that is to overcome our need for invulnerability. So vulnerability is really key to trust, right? And trust is knowing when a team member does push you, they're doing it because they care about you. So there's care, there's vulnerability. And when you have those things, you have a foundation for to gauge an open, constructive ideological conflict or code conflict or whatever the thing is you're working on together. And when there's trust, conflict doesn't become a negative thing. It's a positive thing in the pursuit of truth, to find the best possible answer or the best possible product solution or best possible whatever it is we're working together on a mob. And so kind of with that stage set on trust, how does mobbing relate to those qualities of vulnerability and healthy conflict and those kind of things? But we'll start it off with trust. Juan, what do you think?
So Austin mentioned vulnerability and mobbing. So vulnerability when mobbing with others means engaging fully and openly with the mob without the fear of being judged or criticized. So as we mentioned earlier, we want to optimize flow and communication. We can achieve this by getting everyone comfortable enough to share their ideas. So where we mob, we have 3 rules to kind of support that. And that's you treat other mobbers with kindness, consideration, and respect. And so really using these three rules allows us to sort of share our ideas more freely. And I know that I won't be judged by my fellow mobbers. So
yeah, that's so key. And if when you're really able to let others see your mistake and share your ideas, even if you're not sure about them, that vulnerability makes a great foundation for healthy conflict. And so when we're together all day, we are able to establish that trust. I'm able to be vulnerable and say like, hey, I don't know this, or look, I don't know this kind of code. Can you help me out here? It creates a great foundation for healthy conflict where we really care about each other and we can challenge each other directly. And what I love about this in mobbing is it can happen all the time, and really develop that trust all the time, as opposed to just like once a week in a meeting or once a day in a stand-up or something like that. Or if it's with code, it's in a code review. All day long, we are establishing vulnerability and showing more and more ways to trust each other. And so, yeah, so what you really want to strive for is you're respectful, but you're able to disagree, right? And so that's kind of this radical candor concept in the top right of the quadrant here. And that's where innovation can really happen. And I've seen incredible amounts of trust, incredible amounts of innovation. And what you don't want is if you care about someone, but you're too afraid to hurt their feelings to share with them, right? And so that kind of gets you into the ruinous empathy category here. Or if you're able to share with them, but you're not kind and you don't care about them, right? And so what I've found is that with mobbing, radical candor just develops really, really quickly because you're with people all day and you're sharing all day long. And it lets you reach this kind of zenith of radical candor in a much quicker way, quicker and healthier way, in my opinion. And now to turn over to talk about mobbing and servant leadership is Art.
So mobbing by its very nature is collaborative, as Austin mentioned. And as such, we work together to add value for our customer. So that might be implementing a new feature or fixing a problem, a bug in the software. So servant leadership in mobbing is the concept of pushing others forward and helping them grow in their mobbing skills as well as their ability to present. So at our company, we demo to our product owner as well as we give monthly updates, software updates to other employees in the company, all the way up to the CEO. So in addition, we have a monthly opportunity to present a 5-minute lightning talk. It can be on a technical or non-technical topic, as well as opportunities to speak at company-only open spaces, as well as external events like this conference. Again, the concept is to encourage others to increase in their skill sets and in their career so that they can also grow as software professionals.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. And I've always learned, seen so many great servant leaders in a mob because they're there with you and they can model the good behaviors, whether it's vulnerability, whether it's trust, whether it's how to do a new coding thing, whether it's how to speak. So they're right there and they can model it and they can establish that all day in the mob. So we've talked about it enough. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to do a very mini mob session so you can kind of get a feel for how trust and vulnerability and servant leadership happens while you're mob programming. So we're going to cut over to that right now. All right, welcome to the mob programming demo portion of our talk. And Art, Juan and I are going to be mob programming for about 10 minutes and just showing off what vulnerability, healthy conflict, radical candor, and servant leadership can look like while mob programming all day. We're going to be jumping into some code, and don't worry about the code so much. It's just more about watching the interactions. And if you know how to code, that's great. If not, no problem at all, because you can just see how we interact. Without further ado, Art, let's start mobbing. You're driving, and I guess I'm navigating according to the timer for the next 3 minutes, which means I will be saying what to do. So I'll be the first to say I've played tennis, and this is what this code is doing. It's calculating tennis scores, but it's not like immediately in my mind how tennis scoring works. How about for you, Art or Juan? How much experience do you have with tennis scoring here?
Oh, yeah, I played tennis much of my life, so I feel comfortable with it.
For me, not very familiar.
No worries, no worries. All right, well, we'll be learning together, or we'll be having Art teach us here, so. Okay, I'm looking at some code, Art, and since we don't have much time, I'm just going to jump into maybe what isn't the best for factoring, but just something to try. Just run an experiment. I don't know if it's going to work. We have these tests, and it'll go red if we break anything. So the side of the screen will go red. So it looks like this first if is about when player 1 and player 2 have the same score, but then it's less than 4. Art, is there any like domain name for that scenario? Is that like I don't know, early game tie score or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I would just go with that, although it's now I realize it's been a while since I have played tennis, so but I don't recall any special name for it. So
okay, well then we'll just go with that name for now, and if any of you have heard the 7 stages of naming, we're just going to go with the best name we got right now. So can you extract 24 through 32? Yeah.
And I don't remember the keystroke, so I'm just going to go with this.
Okay, right on, right on.
So it's Control-Alt-M.
Yep.
Can you give that name again?
Well, first, can you select method as the type of extraction? Yep, perfect. And then what you can say here is handle early game tie score.
All right, handle early game tie score. Got it.
What do you think, Juan? Any modifications to that?
That's a good name for now. I like it.
Okay. I also feel like this call thing is weird, but I'm going to ignore that for now.
Okay.
All right. So I don't know, Juan, does anything jump out to you for what to do next year?
Well, it's not really clear what this if statement does at a quick glance. So maybe we can start by renaming that as well.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, so it looks like it'll be me driving. So let me take over. Okay, so what are you thinking to rename it? Like extract the inside of it or something like that? Or extract the whole thing? What were your thoughts there?
So maybe like what we did on line 40, like rename the scenario, and we can do like handle whatever the scenario is. It looks like when there's a tie, P1
So
point.
in tennis, a tie is called deuce.
Okay.
So if that helps.
But it's
So
not. But it's not a late game. It's not an early game tie score because that'd be the above scenario, right, Art? So what is it?
Yeah, could we see the code for 40 again? Because I need to refresh my memory now.
of it.
And we were saying that it was a tie score, but it was before you hit 4 points. Oh, because it could be love, 15, 15 or 30, 15, or you, as you said, love all, 15 all, 30 all. So yeah, you could just say handle deuce score for the next one.
All right. What do you think, Juan?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. So if we
Right.
extract this to a method.
Handle. What was it again, Art?
Deuce score.
Deuce.
D-E-U-C-E. D-E-U-C.
Oh, D-E-U. Full transparency, I'm a terrible speller. So thank you for correcting me.
Don't worry, I'm going to Google it to confirm the correct spelling myself. So.
Oh, this actually didn't do what I wanted it to do. Let me try that again. I think it did a local method. So
EU is correct. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. But no, it keeps doing that again. What is it doing?
So you want to highlight more lines? What do you want to do?
Oh, so just put the function up here. Okay, we can do that for now. Maybe we'll refactor it later. It's like it's doing like an inline function thing, which I think is kind of weird, but nice. All right, so if I do it there, I see what's going on. Okay, I'll do it the other way for now. Okay, so it was handle
deuce
score.
Perfect spelling. Yep.
Score.
Nice.
All right. Any other thoughts, Juan?
No, I think that's good. We can move it to where it needs to be.
All right, cool.
Right.
All right, Art, you're up to navigate our final turn of our little example mod programming. And I might disagree with you slightly, but I guess now is the time to disagree with you, Art, maybe.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to hear this disagreement. This sounds like fun.
I think in consistency, we should name this differently, like what we just did, or name this one differently, right? Because this one's like saying the scenario, and this one's saying the final result, right? So I feel like in consistency, 48 would be handle late game tie score.
I like it.
I would also be good to rename 47 to be like, I don't know, handle love 1530 scores or something like that.
Yeah, let's do one refactor, Juan, which is to rename handle do score to handle late game do score. That's the first thought. Or yeah, let's start with that, and I'll tell you why I'm saying handle late game do score. Okay, go ahead and enter. And now for consistency, I would say, since the word deuce is the more proper term for tennis, can we rename on 47 from handle early game tie score to handle early game deuce score, I think. Oh no, it's not a deuce though. So Okay, so now let's go with 48 and rename handle late game deuce score to handle late game tie score. I agree. Good. Thank you for that challenge. I appreciate it.
All right. Juan, do you have any weigh in on this deuce versus tie debate?
So early game tie score versus late game tie score. I mean, is there really a difference besides the naming?
Yes. Yeah, because you're talking about 15 all, or I mean love all, 15 all, 30 all versus 40 all, which is the late game tie score, which is deuce.
Okay, that makes sense.
Just as long as we don't have to wear a tie while we're doing this, okay?
I'm so glad that got in, Art, with the pun, because Art does puns all the time, so that was perfect. All right,
Okay.
you have 25 seconds of rain, Art. Any other experiments?
Oh, taking a quick look at this one. This is a non-tie score. So this is handle player one score, player one scoring, whereas the other one is non-scoring. What's that called? Like a shutout? I mean, it feels like a shutout, but that's not the term in tennis. So
Skunk.
Yeah. What, skunk?
Skunk? I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to look that one up. So I don't know, but is that what you were thinking, is to do? Well, we do 7 stages of naming. So do you want to come up with some name and we can always rename it?
Well, actually, we're coming up on time, so let's pause there. And people got a sneak peek of what it's like to mob with us for a day. And I guess let's go around for a quick reflection. Juan, what were your thoughts from that 10-minute mobbing session in regards to trust, I think?
Well, in regards to trust, I mean, you just have to be honest. Like I'm not really familiar with tennis. So having resources like, Art's domain knowledge of tennis and Austin's knowledge come in to get me up to speed is really critical, I think, and not being afraid to ask questions when you don't understand something. So those are like the main things I took from this little mobbing session.
Awesome. How about you, Art?
Well, you asked. I loved this tennis kata. I've never done the tennis kata one before, and I had a ball, so I really enjoyed this one.
Nice.
How about you, Austin?
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I had a really good time. I thought we left the campsite or the code base cleaner than we found it. And so even if we only got in these couple changes, we've increased the knowledge that we're passing on to the next people who pick up the code. Yeah. In regards to vulnerability and trust, like, I thought it was awesome how we shared what we didn't know about the tennis kata. For many of us, is the first time we've seen this kind of code. And to be really honest with it is great. I really appreciate Art receiving my my radical candor, but it was meant out of goodwill and on the naming. And honestly, I'm not sure if I even agree with my names, but it's good to get it out there and come up with the best we got for right now.
I think they were better names, and and also in relation to what you were saying, Juan, if we weren't sure about the domain, we could always go to, like, Wikipedia has a tennis scoring system, I see, entry, so we could learn more and maybe even come up with a better name than we even got here. So
I like it. Yeah, right on. Well, thank you all for witnessing this mob programming and trust talk and demonstration, and we appreciate your comments, questions, and more in the conference. So thank you, everybody. Until next time, mob well and have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.